listening to The Gender Rebels.
I'm Kathleen, a cis woman and ally.
And I'm Faith, a trans woman.
Gender Rebels is a question and answer podcast that explores life outside the gender binary.
A big thanks to our Patreon supporters.
If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/genderrebels. Hey everyone, it's Kath.
And Faith.
Hey Faith, do we have any patrons today?
We do. We have to thank Chloe.
Thank you.
Chloe's our new patron. Chloe's awesome.
Thanks, Chloe.
Thank you, Chloe.
Really appreciate it. All right, Faith, I got another question.
Yes, what's your question?
When are you going to come out to your grandma?
Oh, Lord. What a question.
Right?
Okay, so this is going to be, we were discussing this actually earlier because one of the number one questions we get, we were thinking about what question to do for this week's episode. Beyond relationship stuff, that's one big one. But the other one question I get that I think we get second most often is how do I come out to X?
Yes.
Should I come out to X?
Yes.
And
we have questions about religious parents. We have questions about people who are dying soon. We have questions about definite 100% bigots who will not support you. We have a lot of questions because there's a lot of complexity with this.
Yeah. So basically, the way that this came up is that I am out to basically my entire family. Except I've never actually come out to my grandma. She is my last grandparent standing.
Right.
And she's, oh gosh, she was...
Tell us about your grandma.
She's probably born in the late 20s.
Okay.
So what would that make her? Almost pushing 90. And people in my family tend to live pretty long.
So grandma's sticking around.
And grandma, both my grandfather was a serious, he joined the military when he was 16.
Aww.
He lied about his age to serve in the Second World War.
Wow.
And stuck with the military for like decades after that.
Army, I guess?
In the Army.
Yeah.
He was actually on a transport to the Philippines which was the staging area for what would have been Operation Olympic, the invasion of Japan that would have killed like millions of, if not tens of millions of Americans, Japanese civilians, etc. So he was headed to the Philippines when they announced, so he was on a boat. He was like 17. So he was on a boat to the Philippines when they announced the war was over.
Armistice.
VJ Day. Victory in Japan Day.
Victory in Japan.
And he then went to West Point, so he was a West Pointer.
So so enlisted and then enrolled.
Enlisted and then enrolled in West Point. So he had already been in the military when he went to West Point. Yeah. Which I don't think that's uncommon for West Point.
Or
especially
back
GI Bill back in the day. Met my grandmother at West Point.
Aww.
Because her dad taught at the school.
Okay.
So
faculty.
So
and you're saying you've got a military background.
I do. It's a very heavily military family. And like we've got a Civil War general on the family.
That's right.
And we've got some revolutionary people in the family.
There's statues in DC of people that used to be related to Faith.
Yep.
Or are related.
Yep.
I don't know. Whatever. Cool.
Are still related.
Blue blood. The bluest of blood.
The bluest of blood. My family came over early. Mayflower. Not Mayflower-ish. We waited about 10 years after the Mayflower. We were like, do build some houses first before we came over. So very, very blue blood. My grandpa met my grandma in like the, I guess, 50s, right after the war. And my grandma was raised military, in a military household.
She did not enlist.
She married a military
herself.
guy. No.
Okay.
She was too young, I think.
Okay.
And my grandparents, so I joked about, I'm like, all these guys, every single guy in West Point, and you married him, huh?
What's wrong with your grandpa?
My grandfather was in the same class. He's actually, he was friends with Neil Armstrong in college.
Okay. Neil Armstrong was West Point?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was at my grandparents' house one day and found Neil Armstrong's home phone number, and it took every ounce of strength I could to not call Neil Armstrong and be like, Neil, hey.
Big fan.
First man on the moon. How was that? Yeah, so anyway, he eventually served, my grandfather worked for NASA as well on the Gemini projects. And anyway, so my grandma was, they're very military family.
Yeah.
Very conservative, very kind of old New England.
And so old New England, but then also were in the South for a lot of their life.
Well, because the military
Military
brought
puts you
them
where
around.
they need you, yeah.
And so, but they're both kind of New Englandy.
Okay.
And so my family's New England blue buds way back. I kind of liken it to, if anyone watched Gilmore Girls, my grandmother is basically Emily Gilmore, the grandmother because my grandmother was really big in the DAR, like
Daughters of the American Revolution.
Daughters of the American Revolution, which is a very waspy organization.
Conservative.
Very conservative. My grandmother is very conservative. I remember at one point there was like in her house, like, I was like 8, introduced to like a senator, and I had no clue really what a senator was. So some senator from Virginia.
Cool.
I met. And so they were very, very involved in like Republican politics, very involved in Daughters of the American Revolution, very involved in a lot of conservative causes, and highly, highly conservative, and very, very Christian.
Okay.
Very, very Christian as well.
So this is similar to what a lot of our listeners already know about your upbringing. Very military, very conservative, very Christian.
Oh, this is just my grandparents. My
Exactly.
dad went evangelical and crazier.
He ramped it up.
Yeah.
But this is what he grew up among.
This is what he grew up among.
Okay, so this is your dad's mom.
So this is just to give you some background. I hope it's interesting to people, but it's just to show like this is multi-generation conservative, Republican, Christian.
There's a bedrock there.
Military.
Yes.
There's a bedrock. And so growing up, my relationship with my grandma was kind of strained because she wanted everything very, very prim and proper. Everything was to be in its place. Everything was to be... children were to behave. Children were not to be weird. I was a weird kid.
It's interesting that you know that rule. Children are not to be weird.
Yeah, and one of my favorite... Like, I was a kind of weird, introverted kid, kind of kept to myself, you know, had stories in my imagination and stuff.
Read books,
and
read comics.
One of my favorite stories is I was in high school. My parents had dropped me off there for, like, you know, part of the summer. So they could have some peace and quiet in the house. I was maybe 15.
Okay.
And I'd taken a bike, borrowed her library card, went to the library, got a bunch of books. I was big on a Martin Gardner kick at the time. He's a mathematics guy.
Wow.
But like popular fun mathematics. And got a bunch of books from the library, and I had my CDs. Because, you know, you need your CDs and your Walkman. And so basically... My grandma called my mom, super worried about me that I didn't want to go to the horse show.
You didn't want to go to the horse show?
I didn't want to go to the horse show.
What's wrong with you?
Because and all I wanted to do was just sit in the room and read and listen to music. And my mom was like, yeah, that's who she is. That's who she is. So I didn't want to go to the horse. The horse shows were a big deal. So
your grandma didn't get you?
My grandma never got me. She never understood me.
She tried?
She loved me in the sense that it was proper for a grandmother to love their grandkids. I don't think she ever liked me.
Okay, you know what? There are people that I love but do not like. I get that.
I think it was that. And so I kind of distanced myself from that side of the family.
Right.
As soon as I graduated from high school. Actually, as soon as my parents divorced, which happened a little bit before graduating high school, I distanced myself from that side of the family.
So you don't go to their family holidays?
Don't go to the family holidays. Everyone on that side of the family is evangelical. There's a lot of military people. There's, like both her sons went into the military. My dad and my uncle. Everyone's very...
That's a huge family, right? Like 11 siblings or something?
Yeah. It's a bunch of kids.
They're not Catholic? I can say that I was raised Catholic.
My aunt was a quiverful.
There
And if you guys don't know what quiverful is, it's like where they think they should have as many children as possible for Jesus.
Yeah.
They homeschooled their kids. This is my aunts and uncles. Homeschooled their kids. Like, they're all very, very Christian evangelical.
Right.
One of my aunts works for Focus on the Family, for instance.
So this is where you're coming from.
This is where I'm coming from.
So you're out to
I
your
had
dad?
come out to my dad. I'd come out to my mom, who I still talk to a lot, see a lot. I came out to my sister, who I still talk to, see a lot. I came out to my dad, who I don't really talk to or see a lot. And on Facebook, I got a few, like, aunts and uncles friending me.
Oh, like recently?
Recently.
Interesting.
Not recently. This was within the last couple of years.
I did just see your dad on Facebook under people you might want to friend.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm friends with my dad on Facebook. Friends with both my parents on Facebook, which is fun because I'm fabulous on Facebook.
You truly are.
Truly am. So I came out to sort of that side of the family, but I've never come out to my grandma.
Okay.
And I have a feeling she knows because there must be rumors swirling around.
Well, so I think we had talked about this recently. You are pretty sure that you came out to your dad, but his wife, his kid, your cousins, your uncles, you're pretty sure that everyone knows.
I'm pretty sure there's been rumors, and because people don't keep secrets, especially in families.
Well, like, there's rumors, and then there's your dad saying, I have something to tell you.
I don't think my dad would say, but I think with the internet and things.
Okay.
My aunt obviously found me.
Okay.
And she was my
fair
cool
point.
aunt. She was kind of a punk back in the day. She was the other rebellious black sheep of the family.
Okay.
But she's come around.
So, you know for a fact that some extended family on your dad's side, on your grandma's side,
Yeah.
aunts, uncles, cousins, probably some, at least, know about you.
Yeah.
And they've reached out on Facebook, although not directly, not emailing, not letters, nothing like
Yes.
that. Okay.
So my
it.
mom who's still on good terms with my grandma, despite a divorce.
Right. She's her ex-daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're still on good terms. And
Your mom's cool.
yeah, she is.
I mean, I didn't grow up with her, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my mom's like, you should come out to her. So this brings us to the crux. How long was that introduction? About 10 minutes?
We're looking at 11 and a half. Yeah.
All right. Get to learn a lot about me. So my mom's like, you need to come out. You should come out to her. Or you should write to her. You should write to her.
What's your mom's thinking on that? Because if she still sees her, then it's like,
my mom is
and
like,
how is young Steven? Or whatever your name used to be.
I think it's partly that she, she always says, your grandma's not going to be around forever. So I think I think she's kind of like, get their wisdom, learn their stories, get to know them really, as an adult before they die.
Sure.
So there's that. So she should just write her a letter, just send her a card, whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to sign it. And so we were discussing a few options. I can, one, come out to her in a letter.
Yes.
I can say, Dear Grandma, I'm trans. I'm faith now. Life is awesome.
Here's what trans means.
Yeah.
Yeah. She probably knows. They have internet at the home.
They do. Yeah, they have email because I used to get forward. Obama is a Muslim. So, yeah, that's a whole separate issue. And so my mom's like, yeah, you should come. So I'm like, okay, I could write to her and then just not sign the letter.
Well, you're saying, like, what name would you sign it?
Yeah.
As opposed to signing your
I don't want to sign my dead name.
Your grandchild.
I moved past your grandchild. There you go. Very neutral. So that's one option. Your grandchild. Another option is just to not sign it. Just to sort of...
Because she'll know who it's from.
Yes.
Because you'll make that clear in the letter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's the coming out to her, writing her the brief description, telling her what's up with our life, etc., etc. Because she thinks we're married, which we got gay married before gay marriage was... we got domestic partnered.
We're domestic partners.
Before gay marriage was legal.
Right. So that was as close to what marriage could be.
And then now that gay marriage is legal, we just haven't gotten around to it.
Mm-hmm. Also, at the time that we got domestically partnered, you were still in your costume.
I was still in guy mode.
Yeah.
And she thinks we're married. So she also thinks you took my last name, which you wouldn't have. So it's like...
So she's got some misconceptions.
She's got some misconceptions.
And
so,
I know that everything else being equal, I would not want to be like the only person who doesn't know the big secret. It's like, I'm a fucking adult, okay?
I know. So...
Again, I'm saying, I don't know anything. I have nothing invested in this, and everything else being equal. But continue.
Yeah, so that part of me is like... A part of me is like, okay, I know she's conservative, Christian, Republican, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
Mm-hmm.
She was hugely involved in DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, which started as a nativist organization, which is the equivalent of We Don't Want Immigrants, but it started around the turn of the century, last century. So it's like, it's not necessarily a racist organization, but it's certainly not a non-racist. I think they probably have a few African American members.
I'm sure.
Crispus Atkiss and various people.
Mm-hmm.
No, there were plenty of non-white people serving in all of America's wars.
Yeah, but are they in the DAR Club?
I bet they have a few people.
Okay.
Because,
I mean, there were slaves fighting in the Civil War. Well,
this is the American Revolution.
Right.
Because Tammy Duckworth, Duckworth 2020, Tammy Duckworth is a senator from Illinois. She served her country in Iraq. She was horribly wounded. She's now a senator from Illinois, and we both like her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
She's a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. She's actually Asian American. She's Asian American because she's half Thai, half
white. I guess
whatever English or whatever descent she is. Yeah. So she's an Asian member of Daughters of the American Revolution. Mm-hmm. She's a Democrat, so maybe they're not all bad.
She was the first senator to give birth while in office.
Yeah, she was.
She's awesome.
I actually, side note, I was in the process of trying to join the DAR because I wanted to see if they would let a trans woman be in.
Mm-hmm.
It requires getting my grandmother's original... Because it required my grandmother's original birth certificate, I really didn't want to do it. Because
you would have to come out to your grandma.
So I would have to come out to my grandma. Oh, let's see. Maybe I will try to join.
All right.
So the question... So my basic idea with not coming out to her is like, we're not that close. We haven't been close for over a decade or more. And I'm kind of like, well, if you're going to die soon anyway, why rock the boat, you know?
Talk to me about rocking the boat. What are you afraid... Or not even afraid, but what are the negative repercussions? And I know some are obvious and some aren't. What's rocking the boat?
Dash someone's whole idea of like what their family is,
of what one person in their
of
family
what one person is,
okay.
Or just introduce that level of like chaos and weirdness into the family. If someone's just going to die eventually anyway, like.
I mean, your mom's gonna die.
I know, we're all gonna die.
Dad's gonna die. We're all gonna die. Sister's gonna die.
Something like 80% of people die. So, like,
I've heard it's really high. Like
yeah,
that.
It's really high.
Yeah.
So no, this is my logic. This is my internal logic. Okay, that's not really logical. It's like troll logic, but it's like, it's basically. I'm like, okay, so why bother coming out to her? She's gonna pass in a few years anyway. So why give someone that stress or. You know, rock the boat like that.
Okay, so you aren't thinking this is necessarily to make the relationship stronger or weaker or anything, but it will be a source of stress to
potentially.
A certain extent, and there is no need for that to happen.
Disappointment. It would be disappointment. And and now that I've said the word disappointment, there is the word that best sums up my relationship with my grandparents.
Interesting.
Disappointment.
Them and you and them.
I had good grades. I mean, I'm an adult. Like at no point was I was just weird.
You were weird.
It's not what they thought kids should be. So, and I'm still not. So, a part of me is just kind of like, why bother? You know, it's not someone I'm not close to, but my mom thinks I should have this closer relationship with her.
So, your mom's rationale then is come out maybe by letter.
Yeah.
And then grandma will go through whatever grandma needs to go through.
Yeah.
And then grandma will either say, all right, I would love to see you if you come down at Christmas, or grandma won't say that.
Yeah.
Like either your relationship goes from here or it doesn't.
Because I don't really want to go down for Christmas anyway.
Yeah.
And I think also it might be that my mom, it might be confusing for my mom to have to switch back and forth.
That I could see.
If they talk about me.
Yeah, I could
who
see.
doesn't want to talk about me?
I mean, everyone wants to talk about you. You're fascinating. But this was part of you coming out to your dad also.
Yeah, it was just...
Your mom, your sister, your stepdad are like, we're not sure what to say when you come up. And, you know, it's not like impossible to figure it out. If the person doesn't want you to out them, you call them the old name and you call them the old pronouns.
Yeah.
But that isn't easy. And that does take some practice and that does feel like lying. So that could be what your mom is thinking right now. How do you feel about that being 100% of the reason? What if it's just 100%?
If it was...
Your grandma always asks about Stephen.
Maybe I also just don't want to have, like, I don't want my grandma to call and, like, get that conversation, be it positive or negative.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of just, like, lazy because I don't really have a relationship with my grandmother at this point, really. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of like, sure. I mean, I get my mom, you know, wants me to. But it's still
so then
like,
it's more about your relationship with your mom than anything else,
maybe.
I guess.
So I could come out to my grandma.
Yes.
You know, be very nice about that. Send her some lovely pictures of us, of which there are plenty.
Well, there's at least 100.
Yeah.
Pictures of you and her granddaughter. Great-granddaughter.
Great-great-grandkids. Mm-hmm. And so things like that. So I could do that. Mm-hmm. And... yeah, so I mean, we could, you know, it would, but like, it's also like, you know, if she's getting her info from Fox News,
yeah,
you know, which she, you know, her and I, God, I remember this happened ages ago. This is like one of the last times I remember talking to her. It was like the Ground Zero Mosque. Do you guys remember the Ground Zero Mosque?
Oh, God.
This was this thing, like, for ages. This is before One World Trade Center. For ages, Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan, where 9/11 happens. For ages, it was like, we don't know what we're going to build there. Mm-hmm. There was, like, plan after plan. There was, like,
a decade.
A plan was announced. We're going to build this building, and then that was canceled, and then another plan.
In the ground.
And so people were kind of, like, frustrated. And then one day, out of the blue, we hear this, they're going to build a mosque at Ground Zero. So everyone kind of had this idea that... or the way it was reported, at least with that headline, I even thought this the first time I saw that headline, was that they had finally decided what to build at Ground Zero to replace the World Trade Center and the memorial, because that was a whole separate thing. The memorial went through like 50 different designs of people fighting over it and stuff. And it was like, well, we finally decided we're building a mosque.
It'll be a mosque. And we're like, yay, they decided what to do.
I mean, I was, when I heard that, I was like, huh? But then, okay, it wasn't a mosque. It was a community center that had a prayer room. Mm-hmm. Not really a mosque. 2, it wasn't at Ground Zero. It was several blocks away from Ground Zero. Yeah. And 2, what if Muslims did want to build a mosque next to Ground Zero? There's already a Greek Orthodox church there. Mm-hmm. Like,
plenty of Christian churches, probably a synagogue in the neighborhood, or 3. Yeah.
Exactly. And Lower Manhattan is dense. So it's like, and Lower Manhattan's only about 15 or 20 blocks wide anyway. So 4 blocks away is like already like halfway across the island at that point. Anyway, the point was she was like very adamant against this and thought it should be like absolutely, you know, just she was giving the Fox News version of it to me. And I was just like not hearing it. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like coming out to someone like that is like, you know, do you really want to deal with that? But then on the other hand, you want to educate them and take this opportunity because maybe they will think differently about trans stuff if they've got a trans kid, or trans grandkid. You know, but you also like don't want to necessarily rock the boat if you don't need to.
Yeah, there's the taking a bat to a hornet's nest versus your mom has to carefully switch your name and pronouns around when she talks about you.
So that's the tricky thing.
What's probably happening is your mom is just sort of avoiding talking about, how is Stephen doing? Oh, you know, fine. Up there in New York. Yeah. New York City.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't like not being out.
Sure.
Because ultimately, it's like, that's not who I am. Mm-hmm. Coming out, being trans, that's part of my identity. It's a thing I went through. It's a thing I accomplished. It is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And so part of me is like, yeah, who cares? Mm-hmm. But then another part of me is like, I'm not really close. I'm not close at all with that side of the family.
Sure.
I haven't seen them in ages.
Sure.
I don't talk to them. I don't really do anything with them. I'm not really associated with them. I come out like now, the entire Christmas talk is going to be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I never knew they were a pervert.
Right.
I never knew he was a perv. I hope he's not molesting children. Good thing he's not here to try to molest children or whatever they get, because they're all watching Fox News, and that's like their main source of that. Right-wing radio is probably their main source of information. So like, gosh.
Or,
yeah.
I know, and our listeners have heard this before, and we've said this before, and the whole reason you came out to your dad is what if there's some LGBT kid out there who knows this now.
Yeah.
That conversation might be terrible around the table at Christmas. It might be worse than nothing.
Yeah.
For an LGBT kid. It might be so hateful and so misguided and so messed up. Yeah, that might do more damage than good. But it might be, well, I have a coworker.
Mm-hmm.
And we call her Carolyn now. And it took some getting used to, and it's still a little strange. And our boss messes up a lot and calls her Chris. She does not like that. I could tell. Like, maybe there has been other progress in other people's lives.
Well, there needs to be progress. That is true.
Course.
And these people do exist in a society. And so part of being in a society is accepting that people are different.
Yeah.
So,
and even if there isn't progress, even someone doesn't have a coworker, Carolyn, when they do have a coworker, Carolyn, they could be like, well, I have a niece.
Yeah.
I guess I would call her now, or whatever, however they talk about it.
Yeah, but it's also like I don't talk to them or see them, so it's just going to be like a weird rumor.
And it's also not your goddamn job.
That's also sort of how I feel.
Yeah.
Like coming out to people that you don't really have in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, no. I mean, maybe I should empower my mom to just come out on my behalf.
What does she think about that? Have you told her to do that?
No, because that's a good idea, I think. It's just like, you know what, just you do it.
Just
but
tell
that
them.
also feels cowardly. It's the same reason as not signing the letter or signing my boy name. Feels cowardly and false.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have a legal name.
Yeah, but also your mom is the one with the relationship.
She is.
And your mom is the one who would be helped.
Yeah, I think
by
maybe
this
that.
news.
Like, you're the one with the relationship with these people.
And you're the one who
you're the one maybe who needs to do it.
And you're the one who would...
Because it's weird.
She'd be dealing with all the questions.
Oh, yeah, and it's also weird when you haven't really talked to someone in years, and then you call them or email them or write them and are like, oh, by the way, I'm trans, and we're going to stop talking again for another 5 years. So...
Have a great rest of your life.
Yeah, and
Here's a podcast I do. Don't listen to episode 113, please. Or whatever number this is.
Yeah. So... Oh, gosh. So that's what I think... That's why I think I want to put this to our listeners.
Listeners, it is the first.
It is
Gender Rebels listeners' decision time.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna have a little vote. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily a formal vote, but I'd love to hear your opinions because I'm sure some of you have been through something similar. When it comes to me, like, obviously you don't know every detail of my life, but like...
You know plenty.
You know plenty. I've given you plenty. I've gone back to 1630, to let you know about my family's Mayflower history. So I would love to hear, like, oh, by the way, my mom's parents are all like, I'm sorry. By the way, on my other side of the family, it's all just a bunch of Polish immigrants. So they were dirt poor. So
In case you were wondering.
It's not all posh, by the way. I'm not a Romney or anything.
But the DeBrook clan is quite esteemed. It's your mom's maiden name. People who are like, glad to have you here, immigrants. Back when they were happy about immigrants.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of Irish and Polish people.
Cool.
So I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like, what you think. Have you been through this?
And we want to hear from you. Either leave a comment on the episode, tell us on iTunes, email, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you want. We want to hear from you. It'll be really interesting to get this point of view. Should faith write a letter to her grandma? Should Faith's mom break the news face to face? Or should Faith just keep on keeping on and let grandma do whatever grandma does? What do you think? You've heard the complexities. Maybe a lot of this is similar to your life. Maybe you've been through a similar decision. Let us know how that worked out. Were you pleasantly surprised? Were you abruptly disowned? Let us know. How frequent are those horror stories?
Yeah.
Well, in case anyone brings it up, and I know a lot of people are thinking this, and this is something we've discussed.
Yeah.
There isn't like some big inheritance on the line here. There's none of that Hollywood. As long as this young man marries some young lady, they can inherit the haunted mansion. There's nothing. There's nieces and nephews. If there's cash, it's going to them. So like money is not at all a factor in this.
Even if there was money, I that wouldn't be a factor for me.
What if it were $1 billion?
Okay, then maybe I would just be
money's a factor. Let's not pretend.
Then I have to be in some stupid dynasty family where I'm just cat fighting with like every cousin.
Unless your grandma has the queen's heirloom crown jewels stolen by way of a housemaid in Buckingham Palace and smuggled in Loretta McDebrooke's petticoats across on Plymouth 2.0.
Yeah.
Mayflower 2.0.
Yes.
You don't know. I don't know.
It's probably unlikely.
Eliminate the money question. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
So let's hear from you. No promises that Faith is going to like take your advice necessarily. It is her life. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? How do you think it'll go?
I would love to hear from people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of actually on a razor's edge, like, but a 4-way razor, kind of on this, like.
Wait, what are the 4? I only gave them 3 options.
No, gosh, 3. There's 3 options. I'm on a 3-way razor.
I can't even picture that. It's so painful.
I know, and so or fence. I'm on a 3-way fence.
That's better.
How about that?
You.
It's just try to picture it.
Yeah,
there you go. So it's a 3-way fence, and I can fall one of 3 ways. And I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of ambivalent. I sort of, a part of me is like, you know what? Fuck it. Just do it. Who cares about the consequences?
Because none of the 3 are really going to affect you directly.
No, not really. And then I'm partly like, you know what, Mom? You want me to come out to her? You come out to her. Mm-hmm. And then another part of me is like, who cares?
Or Grandma is very loving and supportive and watches so much Ellen and sees so many young transgender people in the world struggling and writing books and doing great things.
Or I haven't even thought about this. I haven't talked to that family in ages. What if like there's like 2 trans kids?
Oh my God.
I seriously doubt that.
But there could be.
There's not. But okay. I mean there might be, but there'd be like baby gays who haven't come out yet.
I feel like your mom or your dad would have told you though.
They probably would have at some point.
Hey Faith, this will interest you. Your cousin sister's daughter calls himself genderqueer. Well, just thought you should know. Love your dad.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not your job to educate the world, but if it's not you, then some other trans person is going to have to do that. So it might as well be you as long as you don't care about that relationship. That being said, it's still not your job.
It's not my job to educate anyone.
You didn't have a relationship before you transitioned. Why would you have a relationship after? Yeah, I get it. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
This is a tough one.
It is.
And how much are you hitting a hornet's nest with a bat? How?
I don't know.
What will that lead to? Will that make your mom's life harder, your dad's life harder, any of the cousins? It's impossible to predict.
Yeah.
But I feel like if your mom is the closest person, and I don't know if your dad is as close to his mom as your mom is, and she thinks this should happen, I'm kind of leaning on that side.
Yeah.
But don't let my vote influence you guys.
Okay.
Vote. Let us know. And we'll tally the results and let you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for hearing this DeBrook family history.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And appreciate it very much. Hopefully not a boring subject. You weren't like fast forwarding. Get to the trans stuff. You're not talking about anything trans.
I'm so bored.
I don't care about the damn Gemini project.
Everyone cares about the Gemini
You should
project.
care. It was a very important part of American history.
Yeah, if you don't care about it, that's on you. So really educate yourself.
Google corned beef sandwich incident.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
That alone should sell you on the importance of the Gemini project.
And we're not going to put a link in the show notes.
Also,
because you're a goddamn adult. Look it up yourself.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, thanks for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll talk to you next time.
Bye. Bye.
Gemini.
That's what they call. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to help us keep making more great content, go to patreon.com/genderrebels.
We have many different levels of support and lots of great rewards,
including drinks with the Gender Rebels at Stonewall.
Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. That makes it easier for other people to find us.
And send your questions to questions@genderrebels.com. Or find us on Twitter @The Gender Rebels.
Music for The Gender Rebels is by Jasper the Colossal. Follow the link down below or download them on iTunes today.
And for all our episodes, visit genderrebels.com.
The Gender Rebels is a Comeback Sync production, copyright 2018. All rights reserved.
And to all you Gender Rebels out there, keep rebelling.
Bye.
Bye. People.
Cool.
So yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to think.
We want to hear from you.
Sorry. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like, what you think. Have you been through this?